She's been texting her ex for months, saying I'm just her backup plan. I overheard my fiancé Avery confess at a party. The Miami sun beat down on Aiden as he crawled through the attic of a downtown office building, sweat soaking his shirt. At 28, he'd carved out a solid life as an electrician, wiring high-rises and ensuring the city's skyline stayed lit. 8 years ago, he'd been a community college kid with no clear path until he met Avery. She was 18, a receptionist at a vet clinic with a quick smile and a knack for calming frantic pet owners. They clicked instantly, two dreamers from working-class families chasing something better in the humid sprawl of South Florida. Their first date was at a food truck rally in Wynwood, sharing tacos and laughing over their shared hatred of overpriced coffee shops. Aiden was hooked by her confidence, the way she seemed to know exactly where she was going. Avery saw something in him too, a steady guy who worked hard and didn't make empty promises. They built a life together, step by step. By 27, they had a small apartment in Little Havana, a lease they could afford on their combined incomes. Aiden pulled overtime shifts, running cables through sweltering ceilings, while Avery managed appointment books and soothed nervous dog moms. It wasn't glamorous, but it was theirs. Last summer, Aiden decided it was time. He'd saved for months, skipping lunches to buy a ring that cost a month's pay. He proposed on a quiet evening at South Beach, the ocean glowing under the moon. Avery's eyes lit up as she said yes, her laughter echoing as they planned a wedding for next June. They talked about a house in Coral Gables, a place with a yard for a dog, maybe kids someday. Sunday mornings became their ritual, coffee in bed, scrolling Zillow for homes just out of reach, dreaming of a future that felt close enough to touch. Aiden worked harder, taking every extra shift to save for the wedding and a down payment. Avery seemed all in, pinning venue ideas and dress designs on her phone. But 6 months into the engagement, something shifted. Avery started spending more time on her phone, her thumbs flying during dinner or movie nights. "Just work stuff," she'd say, brushing it off when Aiden asked. He didn't press. His days were long, and the heat left him too drained to overthink. She began coming home later from girls' nights, her explanations vague. A friend needed a vent, or they hit one more bar. Aiden noticed she stopped suggesting weekend plans, her kisses growing perfunctory. Wedding talk, once a spark, now seemed to annoy her. "We've got time," she'd snap, eyes on her screen. "Don't stress so much." Aiden felt the distance, but chalked it up to wedding jitters. He wanted to bring them back to the early days, when they'd stay up late talking about music and dreams. Avery had been obsessed with an indie band since high school, a group that finally hit it big. When Aiden saw they were playing in Miami, he dropped $300 on front row tickets without a second thought. He hid them in his toolbox, waiting for the right moment to surprise her. It was a chance to reconnect, to remind her of a spark they'd built their life on. The moment came at a friend's barbecue in Hialeah. The backyard was buzzing, grills smoking, music thumping, people catching up over cold beers. Aiden was flipping burgers with the host when Avery's voice cut through the noise. She was standing with her friends, laughing, unaware he could hear. "Aiden's great, don't get me wrong," she said, her tone light but sharp. "But I've always wondered about taller guys, you know? Like Ethan from high school. Shouldn't I see what's out there before I'm locked in for good?" Her friends giggled, one saying, "Girl, you've got time. Try the menu before you settle." Aiden froze, the spatula heavy in his hand. 8 years, every late night, every shared dream, reduced to a casual joke. She wasn't just venting. She was dismissing him, their life, their future. His chest tightened, but he didn't storm over or make a scene. He set the spatula down, walked to his truck, and sat in the driver's seat, the AC blasting as he stared at nothing. The tickets in his toolbox felt like a cruel reminder of his naivety. How long had she felt this way? Was he just a safe bet she was bored of? Avery found him an hour later, annoyed he'd vanished. "What's your deal?" "You're acting weird," she said, climbing into the passenger seat. Aiden muttered something about a headache, driving them home in silence as she texted someone, her phone glowing in the dark. He didn't confront her, not yet. But as he lay awake that night, her words replayed like a bad song. He wasn't just hurt. He was done pretending everything was fine. Tomorrow, he'd face the truth, whatever it cost. Aiden woke to the smell of coffee, the Miami sunrise cutting through the blinds. Avery was in the kitchen, pouring a mug, acting as if last night's barbecue confession never happened. Her casual humming grated on him, each note a reminder of her words, wondering about taller guys, wanting to try the menu before settling. He'd spent the night replaying it, the sting of her dismissal sharper with every loop. 8 years together, a ring on her finger, and she was treating their life like a placeholder. He gripped his own coffee mug, steeling himself for what came next. He waited until she sat at the table, scrolling her phone as usual. "We need to talk about what you said at the barbecue," he started, keeping his voice steady. Avery froze, her thumb hovering over the screen. "What are you talking about?" she asked, but her tone was too careful, like someone caught with a secret. Aiden didn't flinch. "You said I'm great, but you're curious about taller guys. About Ethan. Said you should see what's out there before you're locked in. Sound familiar?" Her eyes darted away, then back, calculating. "God, Aiden, were you spying on me?" "That was a private conversation." "It wasn't private. You were 3 feet away in a crowded yard." He leaned forward, watching her squirm. "So what was it? Drunk talk? A joke? Or do you actually mean it?" Avery set her mug down hard, the clink echoing. "I was tipsy, okay? My friends are being nosy, asking about our relationship. I just said stuff to fit in. It didn't mean anything." But her voice wavered, and she wouldn't meet his eyes. Aiden pressed. "So you're not having doubts? You still want this wedding?" She bristled, standing up. "How can you even ask that?" "Of course I do. You're being so dramatic." "Then look me in the eye and say you're not thinking about someone else." Silence. She grabbed her purse, muttering about needing space, and stormed out to stay with Chloe until he calmed down. The door slammed, leaving Aiden alone with the weight of her evasion. She hadn't denied it. Not really. Her defensiveness confirmed what he feared. This wasn't a one-off comment. Something was rotting at the core of their relationship. For 3 days, Avery didn't call or text. Aiden didn't either, too raw to chase her. Instead, he threw himself into work, crawling through dusty attics, wiring circuits in the Miami heat. But his mind churned. Had she been planning something with Ethan, her old high school crush? The guy had always lingered on the edges of their relationship, popping up at parties or sliding in her DMs until Aiden asked her to cut contact years ago. She'd agreed, or so he thought. The uncertainty gnawed at him, but he wasn't ready to confront her again, not without proof. On the 4th day, his phone buzzed with a message from Mia, a quiet friend of Avery's who rarely spoke up in their group. "Hey, Aiden, I know this is weird, but you deserve to know what's going on." His stomach dropped. He called her immediately. Mia's voice was tight, like she was breaking a vow. "Avery's not at Chloe's. She's been with Ethan since she left your place." Aiden's grip tightened on the phone. "You sure?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. "I have screenshots," Mia said, "from the group chat after the barbecue. It's not just drunk talk, Aiden. They've been planning this." The screenshots hit his inbox during the call, each one a gut punch. Chloe's message. "Girl, you've been crushing on Ethan forever. Just do it." Another friend, Sarah. "It's not cheating if you're not married yet." And Avery, responding at 2 a.m. "You're right. I need to get this out of my system before the wedding." The chat detailed plans, when to meet Ethan, where, even joking about keeping it from Aiden. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment mistake. It was calculated, her friends cheering her on while Aiden was home, still believing they could fix things. "Why tell me?" he asked Mia, his voice hoarse. She paused. "Because it's wrong, and you don't deserve to be played like this." He thanked her, hung up, and stared at the messages for an hour. Every late night Avery claimed was girls' time. Every vague excuse now made sense. She'd been orchestrating a betrayal while wearing his ring. But buried in the screenshots was something worse. A message from Avery mentioned locking in his insurance benefits, sent weeks before the barbecue. His mind raced. Insurance benefits? They shared a joint bank account, but he handled his own health and car insurance. Had she done something behind his back? He called his insurance company. The rep's words hit like a brick. "Sir, you filed a domestic partnership affidavit 6 weeks ago, adding Avery Miller as your covered partner." Aiden's blood ran cold. "I didn't file anything." The rep read off details, his signature, a copy of his driver's license, proof of their shared address, all forged. Avery had submitted the papers, securing his health and car insurance benefits, 3 weeks before her barbecue confession. This wasn't just cheating. She was building a safety net, using his name to lock in legal protections while planning her fling. Rage mixed with clarity. Aiden didn't cry or punch a wall. He got to work. First, he logged into their joint accounts and froze them, ensuring she couldn't touch the wedding fund or house savings. He called his car insurance and removed her as a secondary driver. Then he started packing her things, clothes, books, her unopened candle collection, into boxes, methodical but detached. This wasn't about revenge. It was about cutting ties. By evening, her life with him was stacked neatly by the door, ready for her to collect. Aiden sat at the kitchen table, the screenshots printed and organized, waiting for her to walk into the trap she'd set for herself. Aiden sat at the kitchen table, the printed screenshots spread out like a prosecutor's evidence. The Miami night hummed outside, cicadas and distant traffic filling the silence. Avery's key turned in the lock around 9 p.m., her footsteps pausing as she saw the boxes stacked by the door. "What the hell is this, Aiden?" she demanded, her voice sharp with indignation, as if she were the one wronged. He didn't look up. "Your stuff. You can take it when you leave." Her eyes narrowed, and she crossed her arms. "You're kicking me out? Seriously?" Aiden slid the folder of screenshots across the table. "Take a look at page 3. That's where your friends plan your test drive with Ethan. Hotel or Chloe's apartment, right?" Her confidence faltered as she opened the folder, scanning the messages. The color drained from her cheeks, but she rallied quickly, tossing the papers back. "This is fake. Mia's just jealous, stirring up drama. You're blowing this out of proportion." Her voice was defiant, but her hands trembled slightly, betraying her. "Fake." Aiden leaned back, his tone calm but cutting. "Well, you didn't spend the last 4 days with Ethan? Didn't text your friends about getting him out of your system before our wedding?" Avery's mouth opened, then closed. She pivoted, her voice rising. "Okay, Fine. I saw Ethan. It was a mistake, a stupid curiosity thing. It didn't mean anything, Aiden. I still want to marry you." He almost laughed at the audacity. "You slept with him to make our relationship stronger? That's your story?" Her eyes flashed with desperation. "It wasn't supposed to hurt you because you weren't supposed to know. Can we just move past this? People get over worse." Aiden held out his hand, unflinching, the ring, and the car keys. Her jaw tightened, and for a moment, he thought she'd argue. Then she yanked the engagement ring off her finger, slamming it on the table, followed by the keys. "You're going to regret this," she spat, grabbing a box. "You're throwing away 8 years over nothing." He helped her load her car in silence, watching her drive off into the night, her taillights fading like a closing chapter. But Avery didn't disappear quietly. By morning, her TikTok was live with videos painting a different story. In one, she sat in a cafe, voice trembling, claiming Aiden had cut her off financially and kicked her out with nowhere to go. She never mentioned Ethan or the screenshots, just spun a tale of a controlling ex who left her stranded. Comments poured in, strangers calling Aiden a monster, wishing him karma. The videos spread, racking up thousands of views, each one twisting the knife of her betrayal further. Aiden didn't engage online. He had a bigger fight to prepare for. Digging deeper into the forged domestic partnership papers, he confirmed the extent of her scheme. 6 weeks before the barbecue, Avery had submitted documents to his health and car insurance, using his forged signature and copies of his driver's license. She'd even tried to add herself to his personal checking account, but the bank required an in-person visit. In Florida, domestic partnerships carried legal weight, insurance benefits, property claims, even inheritance rights. She'd been building a safety net, securing his assets while planning her fling with Ethan. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was calculated fraud. He called a lawyer recommended by his friend Marco, a real estate agent who'd seen messy breakups before. The attorney, a sharp woman named Carla, laid out his options: file fraud complaints with the state and insurance companies, seek a restraining order, and prepare for any counterattacks. "She's playing dirty," Carla said, reviewing the screenshots. "But we've got her dead to rights." Aiden spent the next day gathering evidence. Bank records showing he'd only frozen joint accounts after her betrayal, phone logs proving her months-long contact with Ethan, and Mia's screenshots detailing the affair's planning. He also canceled the wedding vendors, swallowing half the deposits to cut his losses. Avery's TikTok campaign escalated. She posted outside their old apartment, claiming she'd been illegally evicted from her home. Her narrative gained traction, with followers praising her strength and slamming Aiden's supposed cruelty. But cracks appeared. Mia, fed up with the lies, commented on one video, "Tell them about Ethan and the forged papers, Avery." The comment was deleted within minutes, but not before dozens saw it. Aiden's phone buzzed with messages from mutual friends, some skeptical of Avery's story, others blindsided by her deception. Carla filed the fraud complaints and a restraining order, citing Avery's manipulative behavior and the forged documents. The insurance companies launched investigations, confirming the signatures weren't Aiden's. The legal wheels turned slowly, but the evidence was ironclad. Aiden kept working, channeling his anger into long shifts, wiring offices under Miami's relentless sun. Each night, he checked Avery's TikTok, not out of pain but strategy, saving her videos as evidence of her lies. One showed her laughing at a restaurant with Ethan, captioned, "Moving on, stronger than ever." It was a gift to Carla, who noted, "She's digging her own grave." Aiden wasn't just fighting for justice, he was reclaiming his life. He sold the concert tickets he'd bought for Avery, the ones meant to save their spark. Mia, who'd been checking in, suggested they go together. "Don't let her ruin good music," she said. They went, singing off-key to the indie band's hits, the night a small rebellion against Avery's shadow. Mia's quiet honesty was a stark contrast to Avery's games, and Aiden felt a flicker of something new. Hope? Maybe, or the start of healing. But Avery's next move was coming, and it would test his resolve in ways he hadn't anticipated. The Miami skyline glowed against the dusk as Aiden drove home from another 12-hour shift, his hands calloused from wiring office towers. The past week had been a blur of legal prep and late nights, saving Avery's TikTok videos, each one a new lie painting him as the villain. Her latest post, filmed at a beachfront bar, claimed he'd stolen her future by cutting her off financially. The comments were vicious, strangers calling him a deadbeat, a control freak. But Aiden stayed focused. His lawyer, Carla, had filed fraud complaints and a restraining order, backed by Mia's screenshots and proof of Avery's forged domestic partnership papers. The truth was his weapon, and he was ready to wield it. Avery's campaign took a bolder turn. 2 weeks after moving out, she filed a civil claim, alleging Aiden owed her emergency financial support as his domestic partner. Her lawyer argued she'd been dependent on him for years, claiming he'd abruptly canceled her insurance and evicted her, leaving her unable to work or cover basic needs. The filing painted Aiden as a calculating abuser who'd isolated her financially. Without context, it sounded almost convincing. The court set a hearing for 3 weeks out, giving Carla time to build what she called an airtight case of fraud. Aiden doubled down. He pulled bank records showing he'd only frozen joint accounts, holding their wedding fund and house savings, after discovering Avery's affair with Ethan. He gathered phone logs proving she'd been texting Ethan for months before the barbecue, where she'd mocked their engagement. Mia's screenshots, detailing Avery's plan to test drive Ethan with her friend's encouragement, were the cornerstone. Carla also tracked down the forged documents, an affidavit with Aiden's signature, a copied driver's license, and their shared address, all submitted 6 weeks before Avery's betrayal surfaced. The audacity was staggering. She'd secured his insurance benefits while plotting to cheat. Avery's TikTok rants grew reckless. One video showed her at a rooftop party with Ethan, laughing, captioned, "Free from toxic control." Another, filmed outside their old apartment, claimed she'd been locked out of her own home. The hypocrisy burned. She'd moved in with Ethan, yet played the victim for clout. Her followers ate it up, but Mia kept fighting back, reposting deleted comments about the affair and forgeries. Word spread among mutual friends, and Avery's narrative started to crack. A few apologized to Aiden, stunned by her deception. Carla uncovered more. Avery had tried to add herself to Aiden's personal checking account, only stopped by the bank's in-person requirement. In Florida, domestic partnerships granted serious rights, insurance, property claims, even inheritance. Avery hadn't just cheated. She tried to entangle Aiden legally, hedging her bets while chasing Ethan. "This is calculated," Carla said, organizing the evidence. "She's banking on sympathy to skate through." Aiden nodded, his anger now a cold resolve. He wasn't just fighting for himself. He was exposing a liar. He kept working, the hum of drills and the burn of Miami's heat grounding him. Nights were for strategy, reviewing documents, emailing Carla, saving Avery's posts before she could delete them. One video showed her shopping with Ethan, boasting about new beginnings. Carla smirked when Aiden sent it. She's handing us ammunition. Keep them coming. The contrast between her claims of financial ruin and her carefree spending was glaring, a gift for their case. Aiden's life began to shift. Mia, who'd been a quiet ally, started texting more, checking in, sharing memes, lightening the weight of the drama. They'd gone to that indie band concert together, using the tickets he'd bought for Avery. The night had been electric, singing along in the front row, free from the past. Mia's honesty, her refusal to play games, was a stark contrast to Avery's manipulation. They grabbed coffee after, talking late into the night about music and dreams. Aiden felt a spark, not just of attraction, but of trust, something he hadn't realized he'd missed. Then Avery struck again. A week before the hearing, Aiden got a call from his insurance company. Avery had filed a claim for medical expenses, citing her domestic partner status. The rep was confused. Aiden had already reported the fraud. She's doubling down, Carla said, adding the claim to their evidence pile. She's betting you'll crack under pressure. But Aiden didn't. He forwarded the claim details, his jaw tight. Avery wasn't just lying. She was weaponizing the system, trying to bleed him dry. The hearing loomed, and Carla prepped Aiden like a general. They had everything: screenshots, bank records, phone logs, and Mia's testimony about the group chat. Avery's TikTok videos, flaunting her new life with Ethan, would undermine her claims of dependency. She's built a house of cards, Carla said. We're about to knock it down. Aiden felt the weight of the fight, but also a strange calm. He wasn't just reclaiming his money or his name. He was reclaiming his future. As the court date neared, Aiden noticed a shift in Avery's online presence. Her posts grew less frequent, her comments disabled. Mutual friends whispered that Ethan was pulling back, uneasy with the legal mess. Aiden didn't care about Ethan's motives. He cared about justice. He packed the concert tickets away, a reminder of what he'd almost lost, and met Mia for dinner. Over Cuban sandwiches, she smiled. You're stronger than this, Aiden. She doesn't get to win. He nodded, ready for the courtroom, ready to end this chapter for good. The Miami courthouse buzzed with quiet tension as Aiden sat beside Carla, his lawyer, in a sterile hearing room. Across the aisle, Avery sat with her attorney, her posture stiff, eyes fixed ahead. Her TikTok persona, teary victim or carefree rebel, was nowhere in sight. Today, she was just a woman facing the consequences of her choices. Aiden clutched a folder of evidence: Mia's screenshots, bank records, phone logs, and proof of Avery's forged domestic partnership papers. The hearing was set to decide her claim for emergency financial support, alleging Aiden had left her destitute. He knew the truth would dismantle her lies. Carla had built a relentless case. The screenshots showed Avery planning her affair with Ethan, her high school crush, with her friend's encouragement. You're not married yet, live a little. Bank records proved Aiden only froze joint accounts, wedding and house savings, after discovering her betrayal. Phone logs confirmed months of contact with Ethan before the barbecue, where she'd mocked their engagement. The forged documents were damning. Avery had submitted a fake affidavit, using Aiden's signature and driver's license, to claim his insurance benefits 6 weeks before cheating. Her recent medical expense claim, citing her domestic partner status, was the final nail. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with sharp eyes, called the hearing to order. Avery's lawyer went first, spinning a tale of financial dependency. He claimed Aiden had abruptly cut her off from insurance and their apartment, leaving her unable to work at the vet clinic or afford basics. The story leaned hard on sympathy, painting Aiden as a vindictive ex. But Carla was ready. She presented the evidence like a chess master, starting with the screenshots. Mia took the stand, her voice steady as she read the group chat aloud. Avery's plans to test drive, Ethan, her friend's cheers, the calculated timeline. The room grew quieter with each message. Carla then laid out the fraud. The forged affidavit, submitted weeks before the affair surfaced, showed premeditation. Bank records disproved Avery's dependency claims. She'd had full access to her own accounts until Aiden protected their joint savings. Her TikTok videos were the clincher. Clips of her dining with Ethan, shopping, and boasting about new beginnings, all time-stamped during her supposed destitution. The judge's brow furrowed as Carla played one video, Avery laughing at a rooftop bar, captioned, "Free at last." The contrast to her courtroom claims was glaring. Avery's lawyer tried to pivot, calling the screenshots hearsay and claiming the videos were out of context. But the judge wasn't swayed. Mia's testimony, backed by phone records and the forged documents, was airtight. The insurance companies had already flagged Avery's submissions as fraudulent, launching their own probes. When Carla presented the medical claim Avery filed days ago, still leveraging the fake partnership, the judge's patience visibly thinned. "You're asking for support based on a status you falsified," she said, her tone cutting. Avery's lawyer stammered, out of moves. The judge deliberated for 10 minutes. Her ruling was swift. Avery's claims were denied. She was ordered to pay Aiden's legal fees and faced a 2-year no-contact order for her pattern of deceptive behavior, including the fraud and TikTok defamation. The judge noted her social media campaign, designed to manipulate public and legal opinion, as evidence of bad faith. Avery sat motionless, her attorney whispering urgently. Aiden felt a weight lift, not triumph, but relief. The system had worked. Outside the courthouse, Miami's heat hit like a wave. Carla clapped his shoulder. "You did the hard part. Now live your life." Aiden nodded, the folder of evidence tucked away. Avery's TikTok had gone silent, her followers dwindling as mutual friends spread the truth. Ethan, rumor had it, was distancing himself, spooked by the legal fallout. Aiden didn't care. He was done with her world. Life moved forward. Mia had been a constant through the chaos, her texts and calls a lifeline. Their night at the indie band concert, using tickets meant for Avery, had sparked something real. They started dating, taking it slow. Mia's honesty, no games, no hidden agendas, was a bomb after Avery's betrayal. They grabbed coffee in Coconut Grove, laughed over Cuban food in Little Havana, and talked about dreams without the shadow of deceit. Aiden felt like himself again, unburdened. Weeks later, Avery made one last move. She showed up at Aiden's new place, a small house he'd bought with his savings, on a Saturday morning. He was loading his truck for a job when her car screeched into the driveway, Ethan trailing behind, looking uneasy. "So this is it," Avery shouted, striding toward him. "You ruin my life in court and move on with Mia? That quiet little snake who is always jealous of us." Aiden kept loading tools, unfazed. "You did this to yourself," he said, not looking up. Her voice rose, spiraling. 8 years, Aiden. You threw it away for her." Before he could respond, a car pulled up. Her brother, Javier, who'd heard about the scene from Ethan. "Avery, get in the car," he said, grabbing her arm. "I saw the screenshots. You lied, you cheated, you forged his name. This is on you." Avery yanked free, screaming about betrayal, but Javier wasn't having it. "You burned every bridge. Stop." He guided her back to the car as she ranted, her threats growing desperate. Ethan slunk away, silent. Aiden watched them go, the no-contact order ensuring this was the end. He and Mia moved in together months later, the house a fresh start. Aiden worked his shifts, wired buildings, and came home to someone who valued him. He thought of Avery sometimes, not with anger, but gratitude. Her betrayal had exposed her, and the law had held her accountable. He'd lost 8 years but gained clarity, a new love, and a life untainted by lies.